that's critical. And what that is an honest assessment of yourself. And honesty, that type of honesty with yourself, it's very difficult for some people, and they don't have the tools for it, and they haven't been explained how to do this.
Or why you should.
Yeah, one of the things that happens when you go through school, you're told what to do, you're never told how to think. You're
also told that you're okay the way you are. That's self-esteem, man.
Yeah.
You're okay the way you are. It's like, no, you're not. And this is another thing that...
Well, you are and you're not.
Right.
You're okay as a human. Look, if you want to be a black belt in jiu-jitsu and you just started your first class, you're okay as you are. You're a human. But in the goal, you're not okay. In the greater goal,
that's right.
The incremental improvement is important. You have to honestly assess your position and move forward.
Yeah, well, that's it. You're a position and a trajectory.
Yes.
Right. And when you say to someone, you're okay because of your position, that's not good enough, because you have to say, well, wait a second, you need a trajectory. And maybe you're okay if you're okay in your position and your trajectory. But, you know, the self-esteem movements and all of that will accept yourself the way you are. It's like, no, because you need a trajectory. And one of the things that I think, one of the reasons that audiences are responding to what I've been saying in my lectures and what I've been writing about is that I don't tell people that they're okay the way they are. No, I say, no, you could be way more than you are. And they're relieved about that, you see, because if you're in a dark and terrible place, and someone says you're okay the way you are, then you don't know what to do about that. It's like, no, I'm not. I'm having a terrible time, and I'm hopeless. You're okay the way you are. Well, then what? That's it? That's where I am? And what do you want to tell a young person? You're 17. You're okay the way you are. It's like, no, you're not. You got 60 years to be better, and you could be way better. You could be incomparably better across multiple dimensions. And in pursuing that better, that's where you'll find the meaning in your life. And that will give you the antidote to the suffering.
The way I always describe it to people is there are disciplines that you can pursue, and those disciplines are a vehicle for developing your human potential. And if you get better at these things, you can get better at anything. And if you figure out what it takes to become better at whatever sport it is, or whatever art it is, or whatever you're pursuing, the same principles you can apply to the way you treat people, you can apply to the way you educate yourself, you can apply to the way you keep your body in shape. All those things are connected.
That's why you have to impose order. People have asked me in my book why I wrote it as an antidote to chaos, you know, because, well, there isn't anything technically wrong with chaos. Chaos is a place of great potential. Well, the question is, what's the proper balance between chaos and order? Chaos, potential, and order. Well, the answer is, look, when you're a kid, you're all potential. It's chaotic potential. It can manifest itself in any number of ways. And maybe you don't want to give that up. So you're like Peter Pan. You want to be a kid forever because you don't want to give up the potential. And you look out in the world and all you see are Captain Hooks, you know, who've lost a hand, who are chased by death, because that's the clock in the crocodile. It's already got a taste of him. He's terrified by death and he's a tyrant. Well, I don't want to grow up to be that. So I won't be disciplined at all. Well, that's no good, because the way the potential transforms itself into actuality is through discipline. And so then you, as you said, this is the trick though. You have to pick a path of discipline. What path of discipline you have to pick is a different issue. So there could be a rule. The rule might not be follow this rule. The rule might be you have to follow some rules. So it's a meta rule. And the meta rule is you have to discipline yourself. And the issue is, well, how? That's not really the relevant question. You can pick a disciplinary path. That's why I often tell my clients, especially young people, they say, well, I don't know what to do. It's like, that's okay. Nobody does. Go do something. Do the best thing that you can think of. Put the best plan you have into practice. It's not going to be perfect, and it will change along the way. But it will change partly because you become disciplined pursuing the path. And as you become disciplined, you become wiser. And as you become wiser, you become able to formulate better and better plans. So you can start vaguely and confused and develop a plan that's not so great, and you start to implement it, and then you accrue incremental wisdom as you implement your flawed plan, and that enables you to fix the plan. And so that's part of that process of incremental self-improvement as well.
One of the more difficult aspects of that is personal honesty, like being honest with yourself. Being honest with yourself about what you're doing, self-assessment. It's very difficult for people. They're never taught it. It's not something that's encouraged.
No, and it's dismal. I mean, imagine you only have $100,000 to go buy a house. And so you go look at this house, and it's like, Jesus, this house, man, it's like it needs a lot of work. It's like, well, that's all you've got. Well, are you going to pretend that the house is okay the way it is? Or you're going to look for where it's rotten and where the plumbing doesn't work and where the stove doesn't work. You have to go and look and see where everything needs to be fixed. And that is harsh, man. And then in order to do that properly, someone has to have taught you, look, you aren't your problems. Well, you are. You're most fundamentally that which, if it confronts its problems, can solve them. And that's the hero myth in a nutshell, by the way. The hero is the person who confronts horrible, chaotic potential and tames it and makes something of it, right? That's the fundamental human story. But the problem is that you have to face what you don't want to face in order to fix it.
Yeah.
And so you look at all the things about yourself that need to be burned off, that need to be dispensed with. And that, man, especially at the beginning, especially if you're screwed up, that may be like 95% of you just has to go up in flames. And it's painful. Even some of that stuff that you have to burn off doesn't want to die. And it'll scream in agony while you're burning it off. It's not pleasant. But if you know that you're the thing that can transcend your problems, most fundamentally, if you know you're the thing that, if it faces the problems, can transcend them, then you have the faith that would enable you to take stock of who you are.
And you have to do that in small steps, because most people don't have experience in transcending their problems, so they really don't know what it even feels like. It seems like an alien concept. It seems like something other people can do. Mm-hmm. But if you do it incrementally, you can show yourself that you can do it. I mean, it's one of the reasons why they have belt systems in martial arts. You start off slow. Oh my God, I got a stripe on my white belt. Oh my God, I'm a blue belt. You feel improvement.
Yeah.
And for some people, it's the first real improvement, marked absolute improvement in their life.
Yeah, right. Well, and then that's an interesting thing too, because right there you've got a bit of a measurement system. We have this system set up online called the Future Authoring Program, and last time we implemented it, because we've tested it 3 times, we implemented it at Mohawk College in Canada, and we had people write about their ideal future and also to put in measurement strategies. It's like, okay, here's your ideal future. Here's how you're going to break it into goals. Here's how you're going to mark progress towards those goals. Because you've got to be playing a fair game with yourself, right? Because when you make progress, you want to reward yourself. So you have to identify what the progress is and you have to reward it. The consequence, we had people write a future plan for only an hour when they came for their school orientation in the summer before going to, it's a community college. And it dropped the dropout rate among young men by 50%. And it's, yeah, no kidding, 50%. Yeah. And what that meant was, to me, just think about that. What that means is that these kids had been educated for 12 years and no one had ever sat them down and said, okay, what the hell are you doing and why? And how are you going to where do you want to go? Why do you want to get there? How are you going to get there? How are you going to mark your progress? They've never walked them through that exercise. You walk people through that exercise just to get them to do that increases the probability that they'll stay on track by 50%.
That's incredible.